Our country is a flawed place. Throughout the history of America, we have faced countless obstacles: hatred, racism, greed, corruption, discrimination, poverty, lack of affordable health care, school shootings, police brutality, lack of respect for women's agency in health, and the list goes on. We have another obstacle in our way. Donald Trump is going to be president for the next 4 years, and it's going to be a very big obstacle. It will not be good, it will not be right, and it's going to do tremendous damage. But that's not really what I want to talk about right now. I want to talk about what we can do now as the American people to make this country a better, safer, and kinder place. A place where people don't have to be afraid of being hated for who they are or be worried that they can feed their families or not have access to the necessary care they need. My name is Alexander Waters. I'm the social media coordinator for Blue City 2NM. And in this video, I'd like to talk about a few things. One, the consequences of this election. Two, the importance of local politics. And three, how we can all work to make this country a better place. First off, let's start with an assessment of what's to come. I'm going to try and keep this brief, as I don't want to spend too much time dwelling on federal policies and actions that are largely outside the everyday person's control. I want to focus on someone like myself who might be watching this video can reasonably do to have an impact. But we need to understand what's going to happen if we can be ready to fight against it. Donald Trump will be sworn into office on January 20th of 2025. Let's look at what's going to happen once he is. During Donald Trump's last presidency, he wasn't as effective as he would have liked to be due to political guardrails set in place to check the president's power. Basically, he couldn't do whatever he wanted because of safeties put in place to make sure the president doesn't abuse his office. Donald Trump's first priority will be getting rid of these guardrails in order to clear the path for anything he might want to do with his executive power. And sadly, he's already done some of the work to do this. The Supreme Court is now heavily right-leaning after Trump nominated 3 of his own appointees, and conservatives in Congress have grown more and more Trump-friendly as well. A major aspect of Project 2025, which, if you didn't know already, is Donald Trump's blueprint for policy during his presidency, is to reclassify a lot of civil servants of the government as political appointees. So that basically means that a lot of government employees that do jobs that should not be political, like monitoring the weather or working in national laboratories or taking care of transportation, will be reclassified as political appointees, meaning Trump can fire and hire whoever he wants to make sure everyone in the government is totally loyal to him. A primary platform for Trump during his 2016 presidency was his plans to deport hundreds of thousands of American immigrants. Last time, he didn't have enough organization to carry out these plans. This time, things could be very different. Trump has elected Thomas Homan to carry out this mass deportation. That was the man responsible for the family separation policy that took children away from their parents at the border during Trump's first term. And there are not only talks of mass deportations, but also the ending of various protections such as birthright citizenship and naturalization of children of legal immigrants. In terms of abortion and women's health, although it will be difficult for the Trump administration to make an outright national ban, they will do everything in their power to limit the accessibility of women's health care throughout the nation. One of the tools the Trump administration plans to use to restrict abortion is the Comstock Act of 1876, an act that prevents the mailing of anything related to abortion. This is a very old policy that was created over 100 years ago in order to enforce arbitrary restrictions on things deemed as indecent at the time, such as abortion and contraceptives, things that in the modern day we understand are necessary parts of reproductive health. The act was deemed moot when abortion was fully legalized in the United States, but never fully repealed, giving the Trump administration the opportunity to use it as a backdoor abortion ban. Not to mention the efforts to prosecute any woman who travels over state lines in order to receive the health care they need. Lastly, Trump plans on implementing a 10% tariff tax on all foreign goods and a 60% tariff on goods from China. This policy will result in the increased cost of nearly all foreign goods, which will be passed on to the consumer, people like you and me, which will cost the average household roughly $1,700 annually. Okay, now that we know what's coming, let's talk about what we can do to fight it. Although Democrats have lost the battle at the federal level, there are bright spots throughout the nation where we pulled through. One of these bright spots is right here in New Mexico. Gabe Vasquez has been reelected to Congress, beating out MAGA loyalist Yvette Harrell and breaking the decades-long streak of a Democrat not holding more than one term in the 2nd Congressional District of New Mexico. Gabe has done great things for his community in government and will continue to do so now that he gets another term in Congress. In other news, in Delaware, Sarah McBride was elected as the first ever openly trans member of Congress. And it's not just her. Throughout the country, over 35 gender nonconforming candidates were elected into office, which is a huge deal. There might be things coming up in the future that make life for trans people a lot harder, seeing as a lot of people who think they shouldn't exist are going to be in the government. So having that representation in government is crucially important. In addition, there were many places where Democratic policies were passed, one such example being Proposition 139 in Arizona, which enshrines the right to abortion in the state constitution. The point is, although Donald Trump is going into office next month, that doesn't mean everyone in the government is a MAGA loyalist. Far, far from it. There are plenty of officials who are still fighting the good fight to protect their community's rights and freedoms from the narrow-minded, corrupt, and bigoted whims of Trump and his lackeys. So yes, the federal battle has been lost. And I think it's fair to say that we will not be seeing any sort of positive change coming from the federal level for the next 4 years. But there is still local politics. In some ways, local races and officials have even more sway over your day-to-day lives than federal ones. Local politicians are the officials who decide the policies, laws, and budgeting for your town, community, and state. They're the ones who fill potholes in your roads, support community outreach programs to help those in need, and do the real work that needs to be done to help keep their people safe and protect their rights. Now, more than ever, is it crucially important for everyone to be taking a look at how their government works on every level, especially local, because that's where we have the best chance of making real change right now. So don't give up on hope just because the presidential office went to Trump. There's still so much you can do in order to push this country in the right direction. Give back to your community. Find local organizations and causes that you can get behind that will work towards fighting the corruption and backwards thinking coming from the federal level and protecting those who may be put at risk because of Trump's policies, such as immigrants, LGBTQ+, individuals, and women in need of reproductive health care. I have compiled a list of organizations local to New Mexico that are doing real work to help uplift their communities, including Blue C2NM. Gabe Vasquez was reelected to Congress largely because of the efforts done by this organization to turn out Democratic voters. But this is one organization out of many who are doing good work to fight for this country's future. So don't give up. Keep fighting, even if it's not easy. And it won't be. Setting aside time and energy to make a difference is a very difficult thing to do. It can be overwhelming and intimidating to consider taking action and standing up for what you believe in. But remember, you are not alone in this fight, and anything and everything you can do helps move this country in the right direction. So be kind to yourself and make a plan. Set aside whatever it is you can afford, whether that be time, money, or anything else you can give, and allocate how much you can spare. Maybe that means a one-time donation to a good cause. Maybe it's attending a weekly meeting, volunteering with an organization such as this one. Maybe it's even just posting on social media to spread the word about opportunities for people to help or causes that are worth supporting. Whatever it is, every single drop of effort counts towards the future of this nation. Think about how far we've come. And although there's still a long, long way to go, we haven't lost all that progress just because we elected Trump. Yes, there will be damage. Yes, it will not be good. And yes, it will take a long time to recover. But at the end of the day, even if he may be surrounded by a wall of loyalists, Trump is just one person. And this country is not and has never been about one person. It is about all of us. It is about the will of the people. And we are the people. So fight for what you believe in. Do not admit defeat just because we lost this. A better future will not come all at once, and progress is not a straight line. But as long as people continue to fight for a better world, as long as people continue to be kind to each other, as long as people continue to strive for goodness, we can and will make a difference for the better. So identify what you can do to help, what you can afford to spare, and give back to your community. And inch by inch, no matter how difficult it may be, we will push America in the right direction. Thank you.